And we are live. Welcome to Glammaz Closet, guys. Hi. Welcome to Glammaz Closet, and we are going to talk tonight a little bit about live auctions. I've seen a lot of people asking about them. Somebody was Johnny really dove deep into it the other day on his channel, Cajun Roots Reseller. Hey, Hal. Hey, FSJ. Hi. Mwah. Thank you guys for being here. P. Murph, what's up, my brother from another mother? And my show me homie Asia dancer. Lisa, hi. It's good to see you. Yeah, I wanted to talk tonight about the live auctions that we do on YouTube. Some of the resellers do live auctions, and we'll have, like, sometimes it's a single person, sometimes they'll have different guests on the show, or like a lineup. Hi, Denise. Hi, it's good to see you, baby. And I wanted to do this live because I feel like people have real-time questions, and maybe I can help answer some of those. Johnny covered a lot on his show, and he does have videos on this. But I thought this would be kind of a good jumping off point before you head on over to Cajun Roots Reseller, and that's Cajun with the K, Cajun Roots Reseller, and he has so much information. So let's go ahead and highlight the chat. First in chat was FSJ. Yes, I am Cupcake. Thank you. And Holly, my hola. Mwah. Hello, gorgeous. I need to call you. So I'm glad you're still awake. Why, yes. Hello, Patrick Murphy. And Aisha Dancer, my show me homie. And there is Jersey Gypsy Lisa. Mwah. Hello. I hope everything is cool in Jersey. Oh, okay. Patrick Murphy said, I'm here to talk about YouTube auctions and chew bubblegum. And I am all out of gum. That's a profound statement there, buddy. Denise's Magical Emporium. Denise, is so good to see you. Welcome. So we had, he was working with Becky on some questions, and I just kind of wanted to talk about a little bit about how I got into YouTube auctions, and what sort of guidelines, I use, and maybe that'll be helpful for somebody. So when I first got on YouTube, I was on YouTube for about a year before I really got into any of the auctions. And frankly, most of the auctions, most of the people that I followed didn't have auctions. So it was kind of one of those things where, with resellers, you find different reselling communities. And my first community and my first love is always, the clothing resellers, because they do what I do. So I followed Jack and Ryan. I followed, Becky Park, Lori Tata. I followed Hope. I followed, I'm trying to think, the 5 resellers. I love those guys. So I was working within, my own niche sort of community. And what happened was Veronica Mitka actually introduced me to Johnny's channel, Cajun Roots Reseller. And through that, it's a portal by which you can meet all of these other different types of resellers. And they sell mostly hard goods and jewelry and crafts. And I mean, it's just amazing how many people come into that chat. So I was really incredibly lucky to meet Veronica, and incredibly lucky that she referred me to Johnny. And I have been a huge fan ever since. So my first live auction that I saw was one that there was actually a reference to it on Johnny's channel, and Veronica knew the seller, and some of the other resellers that I knew the seller. So my first one that I saw was the Wednesday Hump Day auction with Johnny's. He's had that forever, and I was kind of amazed. I was like, oh wow, you can actually just go on YouTube and sell your stuff. So I was intrigued by it, and then I was we were hanging out with some of the comic book guys, some of the sci-fi guys online, and we were buddies with them. And so Horizon Picks was kind enough to invite me on his auction. It was my very first auction, and it was very kind to include me in that. And so I did that. And here's the funny thing. I had no idea what I was doing. Like none, right? None. I went on his auction and just kind of flew by the seat of my pants. I tend to jump into a puddle before I find out how deep it is. So I did that. And then I feel like the universe was like, okay, now that you've actually like thrown yourself off the cliff, let's give you some skydiving equipment. And so with Johnny, he was the next person to invite me on one of his auctions. And he sent me a list that I go by to this day. Cajun Roots reseller list. I go by it to this day. I passed it along to anybody who's new on auctions that's been on any of my shows, like my classic crap auctions. And here is what the list consists of. Okay, so sometimes in auctions you have rounds where you're taking turns with other people. So you'll have 10 minutes, they'll have 10 minutes, the next guy has 10 minutes, the next guy has 10 minutes. Sometimes you have a block of time. So you'll have like 30 minutes to do as much selling as you can do, and then you're done. So at that point, the auction that I was doing with Johnny was going to be everybody takes turns. So this is what he recommended. He recommended that I have the round number. So round 1, round 2, round 3, just kind of like a boxing round, and round 1 of the auction, and then make a list of what I'm selling. Right. So you describe the item. After you describe the item, put on either SB for starting bid, which means that you want people to bid on it and bid it up, or BIN for buy it now. So SB, starting bid, BIN for buy it now. So if your starting bid is $10, then you would put, let's say that I have a green sweater. So I would put green sweater. Usually with clothing, you want to kind of include the size because people are going to ask that. Green sweater, XL, SB is the starting bid, and then $10. So it's like that. Oh, you headed back to bed? Okay, sweetheart. I will see. I'll call you in the morning after I'm live on Johnny's tomorrow morning. Hey, big bro. Hi, baby. So that's what the starting bid is. And then, if I have something where it's a buy it now, like for example, if I have this Revlon, emery board, so I would put Revlon emery board, BIN for buy it now, and then the price that I wanted to sell it at. So if I were selling it for $5, I would put Revlon emery board, BIN 5. And you want to do that in a Word document. And here's why. Because before the auction, you want to send that list. If you're new at this, you need to send a copy of that list to the person hosting the auction. It's very important. And here is why. Because they are probably going to be the person who copies and pastes that information into the chat so that you can concentrate on selling. Experienced sellers will, most of the time, they will copy and paste their own. So when I have Johnny on, when I have the two old guys, when I have, Horizon Picks, when I have Patrick Murphy, when I have people who have done a lot of auctions before, they copy and paste their own into the chat. I don't have to worry about any of that. But for the newer sellers, it's almost too much to do at once because you also have the forward-facing selling So if you are new on my show or on Johnny's show or on any other live YouTube auction, make sure and send that Word document to them in advance by email so that they can copy and paste that. Now, if you don't have Word on your computer, you can just send it in the body of the email so that they can copy and paste that. But they have to be able to copy and paste that information into the chat. With auctions, with starting bids, please manage your expectations. Don't do a starting bid. We all do starting bids hoping that we'll get more. But your expectation should be that your item will sell at your starting bid. If you get more, that's icing on the cake. That's great. But don't undervalue your starting bid just because you think it'll sell quicker. It will sell quicker, but it may sell at your starting bid. Also, manage your face. It's so important when you're doing forward-facing auctions. Manage your expressions. If you haven't mastered the poker face, do this. Okay, here's the difference. You don't actually have to smile. If you raise your eyebrows, it gives people a sense of excitement. It also shows that you're interested in what you're talking about, and you're very interested in the reaction to that. So I would recommend, if you cannot smile while you talk, and not everybody is a natural smiler. Some of us have, RBF. And if you don't know what that is, look it up online, Google it. So if you don't have a good poker face, do that. Raise your eyebrows. It's that simple. It's literally like not even a whole inch, right? But it does show interest. And that was a trick that I learned in sales long years and years ago in the hotel business. Start over. Yeah. So also, when you're doing auctions, to get into auctions, simply ask. That's it. The answer is either yes or no. Pretty much. Hi, Gino. Good to see you. The answer is either yes or no. And if it's no worries. Go on to the next guy and ask, because you're going to ask around and eventually you're going to find somebody who will have you on their auction. Now, I don't have any auctions that include gentlemen until probably March or April of next year. But I did get a question from Big Bro about my next auction. You can guarantee that he'll be included. I mean, he asked. If you asked to be on it, I'm pretty easy. I'm like, sure, why not? Oh my God, Lisette. Hello, beautiful Dana. Hello, beautiful Lisette. Thank you so much for being here. One of the really key pieces too is study what you're selling. If you don't feel 100%, 100,000% confident about what you're selling, study it. You have got to know what you're selling. I can go, look, I have this pen, it's black, and I want $10 for it. Well, that's all well and good, but half of what you're doing when you're selling is just sharing information with people so that they can decide if it's something that they need or want. So if I say I have this pen from Office Depot, it's got a nice grip on it right here. So it's got a rubber grip, so it's easy to do. It is also clear in the middle, and then you can snap it on and snap it off. Now I'm giving more information. Hey, hi, Janet. I want that pen, $122. Gino, you got it. And when I'm selling it, watch what happens. Look at this. Here's an earring. I'm like, and I have some silver earrings. That's all well and good, but it's going to sell the earring a lot better if you hold it up to the camera, and then you need to do your hand behind it. And the reason why you do your hand behind it is so that your camera can actually focus on the details of the earring. This is especially important with jewelry or anything with small details on it. Let's say that you have a belt buckle, or that you have maybe a medallion from World War II or a vintage buttons or something. You really want to get as much detail as possible, and make sure, watch the screen while you're doing it. Make sure that you're at the center of the screen. I cannot tell you the number of times when I've seen people do this. As a matter of fact, when I first started in auctions, I would do this. I would do this. Look at it. And, all you see are like the palms of my hands. So just make sure and keep an eye on that screen right in front of you. Hi, Liv. How you doing? I recommend strongly that you have, if you're doing a half-hour time slot, I recommend strongly that you reference your own list and just have things in numbers. Johnny talks about numbers all the time, and I could not agree with him more. If you are copying and pasting something into the chat, have a number attached to it, because it's so much easier when somebody can go back and just reference that number. It's also easier when you can go back and reference that number, or if you can just have that number written down. I do like having a number, but the most important thing is that you have the description, whether it's a starting bid or buy it now, and the cost. Now, the question that I get a lot is that and this is the one that I get a lot: how do you choose what to sell at auction? My best advice for you, and this is by no means gospel, there is no such thing as a right or wrong guaranteed way. Sometimes you just have an off night. But my very best advice to you would be, if you are selling at auction, know who your audience is. Watch what they're bidding on too. I can go into an auction in the middle of the day and try to sell clothing, try to sell designer clothing. The people who are free in the middle of the day are usually not the people who buy designer clothing. They're just not. They're just not interested in a size 2, Dolce & Gabbana thing. This is, know who your audience is. Typically, if I will go on an afternoon or daytime auction, I'm selling things to people who stay at home. So I'll sell things for around the home. I'll sell things for things that make your life easier around the home. I do know that there's a lot of grandmas like me who are stay-at-home grandmas. So I will include usually a couple of toys, things that they can purchase for their grandkids for Christmas, birthdays, things like that. And then there are some of the jewelry sellers who get on. So of course it's always fun when you can, buy a little something for yourself. So I will sell jewelry, but I don't do usually I don't do the big jewelry jars during the day. I do those in the evening auctions, because that's when the jewelry sellers are off work. Usually I'll sell items like one at a time, like, here's some earrings, or here's some brooches. You'll see sometimes in the chats where people say, SB choice. What that means is that you have a starting bid. Let's say that the starting bid is $4 on, I have 2 different pairs of earrings, right? So 2 different pairs of earrings, your choice, starting bid is $4. So it'll say earrings, SB choice, $4. What that means is that people will bid on the earrings, and then that final bid gets their first choice. Now it's a great way to sort of expand the choices for the selling, because there may be somebody else in the auction who was bidding on it, but then they backed out, but then they didn't want these, they wanted these, or they didn't want these, they wanted these. So that is what choice means. You get first dibs, basically. You get to pick, but it doesn't mean that you get both. It just means that you get, one of those. And then if anybody else wants the other thing, then they can come in behind after that final bid and make their choice. But they don't get their choice until the final bid person gets theirs. Really The one thing I want to impart to you is you would use the same manners on your auction sales that you would use if you were selling to the person in your living room. So if they are not into what you're selling, let it slide off. Let it slide off. Don't get mad. Don't get ignorant. Don't, don't do it. Don't let that affect you at all. You can't let that affect you. If they're rejecting what you're selling, it could be that they just don't have the money for it. They like it, but they don't have the money for it. And that's okay. People are welcome in the chat either way. It could be that they kind of like it, but they're really kind of on the fence about it, and maybe they'll make up their mind later. It could be simply that they don't like you. Sometimes, not everybody likes everybody. They could also be holding out for something else that they know is coming later. There are 1,000,001 reasons why people won't buy. So it's not that you're not selling a quality product. It's just that, maybe they're not in the mood. Maybe they don't have the cash. Maybe they're just, maybe they're just not interested in what you're selling. It's not going to happen every time. And you have to relax and just let that happen. You have to just kind of relax into it and go, you know what? Okay, this wasn't for anybody. We'll call that a pass. Let's move on to the next. Also, please be sure, please be sure. I just can't ask you, I can't beg you enough. Please be sure to thank your buyers. Please be sure to thank your buyers. And it seems like it goes without saying, but sometimes we're so caught up in what we're doing with the forward-facing camera that it doesn't, and we're watching the chat and we're watching the camera and we're watching the chat and trying to be in front of the camera and entertain and sell at the same time. Sometimes we get caught up and we forget to say thank you. Please don't ever forget to say thank you. It's so important to show gratitude for the smallest sale, because in the end, there is no small sale. Every sale should be treated like a VIP. I mean, these people are spending their hard-earned money with you. Think about that. Think about that. That's a very powerful thing. So an attitude of gratitude is always a good thing in life, and especially in an auction, you really, really, really want to do that. Totally agreed, or they already have it, or it's not their style. Exactly. Or so many other things. And not buying right this second doesn't mean not buying ever. Exactly. I was just about to say, there is nothing that makes me want to buy more than having a gracious, appreciative seller. And nothing makes me want to run faster than a rude seller. Yes, Fartzak, even if you didn't sell anything, be nice, have fun. That's right. And really that's what it's all about. You may not sell much your first time out. Get your feet wet. I will say this, and this is about the only thing that I will say about selling clothing online. It's a little bit tougher, and here's why. Because let's say that you have 30 people in the chat, and maybe you have 5 people who are interested in the sweater that you're holding up, but maybe there's only one person whose size it is and they can't afford it that day. With clothing, you almost have to be the most successful people that I've seen with clothing and with handbags. The very most successful sellers are Misty's Treasure Chest. She does a great job. She does a great clothing reselling. Kristen D, she does fantastic with both clothing and with handbags, and especially with handbags. And Heather's Halls. Heather does a great deal with clothing. The thing that they all three have in common is that they usually do those on solo sales. They get the very best results with solo sales. B, they've built up a following for that specific thing. So the girls know that, hey, it's Thursday afternoon. We get paid tomorrow. We're going to Misty's. We're going to go clothing shopping and see if she's got anything that'll fit me and that's fun. Right? And C, most importantly, they're all three of them charming, incredibly charming in their own ways. And that helps you build up a following too. If somebody, hey Beans, mwah, hello. I hope the dumpsters were good tonight. I feel like if you really want to do clothing auctions, absolutely you can do them. Poshmark, you can do them on Poshmark Live if you sell on Poshmark and you get a live show. Whatnot is kind of good for that too. But selling on YouTube auctions with clothing, you really have to have a wide variety of sizes and styles. And you have to have it right there at your hands. Be willing to try some things on, or at least show how it looks, how the handbag maybe is carried, or show how Misty is famous for like just putting stuff on over what she's got on. I love that, and I have bought clothing pieces from her just because I know that now that if she can fit it over a full sweatshirt hoodie, it's probably going to fit me. Right. So, and she always, if you're selling clothing, actually really anything, it's always good to have a tape measure nearby. Even if you're selling hard goods, sometimes people will be like, well, I have this mug rack and I do like that mug, but is it going to be too big? So, you can they'll be like, how many inches is it? Pull out that tape measure. So I recommend having a tape measure nearby, have a notepad and a pen, so you can make notes as you go along. And that's always handy, especially if people are gifting things to other people. And then, we just do our very level best. And sometimes you'll spend 4 hours and sell $50 worth of stuff. Sometimes you'll spend half an hour and sell, $200 worth of stuff. It really, really just depends on who showed up, who plopped into the pond that day. And Fartech has a really great recommendation. I've had bad shows. It does suck when people ain't buying or even bidding. It's like, what the blank? Then some sales, it's boom, 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 sale. Yeah. Big Brother recommends not selling clothes, but that's him. And I do think that, in general, hard goods are a little easier to sell. There's certainly sort of a one size fits all sort of thing. So if you have 30 people interested, you don't have to narrow that down by size and that sort of thing. I think, like I said, I think with clothing, if you want to get into that, I would definitely just begin to create your own online auction where it is a solo auction. I do think that is probably the best way. Now, sometimes I will have auctions. I've had classy crap clothing auctions twice now. And sometimes I'll have clothing auctions. I had the first one to get my feet wet, and I had the second one because I had 3 sellers that hadn't done it before, and they wanted to try it. And I'm a clothing reseller. I know if I hold up a pair of pants, that I know what I'm talking about. And with clothing, that sometimes that really does help if you're actually very comfortable with talking about different styles and different, if I say it's got a 2-inch shoulder pad, right? It's going to be totally 80s vintage and that sort of thing. If I say it's a removable shoulder pad, and these are the types of things that people who sell clothing will sometimes ask. I do recommend, if you're going to sell clothing, check the season. Always make sure and be in season if you can, or be one season ahead, but not like 2. So like right now, I wouldn't bring spring things on to sell on the live. I put them on Poshmark because there are people who live in different climates and yada, yada, yada. But as far as a live goes, usually people are shopping like right for the season. But things like jean jackets, sometimes sports jerseys, scarves, things that are easy to give as gifts. Sometimes those can do well. But I would proceed with caution with clothing. With hard goods, run with it. When you have collectible items, and no matter what you have to show the value to the customer. You have to convince them of the value. Now, I don't have to convince too many people to buy these earrings. I'm like, look at how cute these are. They're silver tone. They've got a turquoise inlay. They're dangle earrings. That creates interest right there. If I'm selling something like this, and let's say that this is vintage, I don't know, squirt spray or whatever, then I would say, this bottle is from 1952 and it's quite rare. Check eBay for comps. It's the 4-inch bottle, and that one's a little bit different than what you see. You have to let people know what they're bidding on. Otherwise, why would they bid on it? I mean, you can't just be like, hey, I have this lemon spray from 1982. And I think most sellers know this instinctively, but the more descriptive you can be and the more detail that you can give people, the more you look like you know what you're talking about, which you should. By then, you should, and again, you can talk for 5 minutes straight about something. Hey, Soto, you can talk for 5 minutes straight about something, but if you don't have the buyer in the chat, you don't have the buyer in the chat. The buyer could be at a different auction. The buyer could be out with their spouse or with their kids or, with themselves, enjoying a night out, enjoying a kid-free cheeseburger. They could be at a school play. They could be, the thing is that there's no perfect scenario. You just have to create the opportunity for people to buy from you. And if you create the opportunity, people will buy from you. They may not bid, $100 on the coat that you thought you were gonna, but maybe they bought this little pair of scissors. And you should be just as grateful for that little pair of scissors as you would have been for the coat. You can list anything that you can sell on an auction. You can be prepared to list. Yeah. I always preach to know what you sell, not that it just sells. Knowledge is power. That's right. That's right. And if you don't know about something, be very brutally honest about it and just say, look, I don't know what I've got. If you don't know, you don't know. If you know that you want to, start it, but if you don't know what you've got, you better start it low. You better start it low, because then, maybe somebody will be like, oh, that's something really cool. And there's still a lot of meat on the bone. I'm going to go ahead and get that. After the auction, there are so many ways to invoice. I recommend for new auction sellers to invoice through PayPal. If you have Venmo, if you have Cash App, wait for the seller to reach out to you to say, I prefer to do Venmo or I prefer to do Cash App. In any other instance, I usually just do PayPal. And it's because PayPal has, and I don't know about Venmo or Cash App, but PayPal has something where you can actually create an invoice. Let me see if I can pull this up so I can show you guys. Okay. Here is quick actions, and see where it says create invoice. You can create an invoice on PayPal. So if I click on that button, this is what I get. I get bill to, add the item or service, the shipping and handling, the notes to the customer. Now, when you're creating the invoice, here's what you need. You're going to need their email. You're going to need that so that you can calculate their shipping. You're going to need their email. You're going to need their real name and address and their YouTube name so you know who actually is who. And you're going to need, that's it actually. You need their email, their real name and address, and then you can create an invoice. And in order to create the invoice, you need to pre-package what they bought. The reason why I don't pre-package things before I sell them is because you don't know how many things somebody's going to get. I have some auctions that I do where I have multiple one buyer who's, you know, in a very generous, loving mood towards me, thank God, or who really likes my stuff, which thank God for that too. And they will purchase more than one item in the auction from me. If they do that, then I want to make sure and combine all of that. I'm not going to ship those separately. I mean, that's going to cost them more in shipping, and you know, there's no need to do that. And Big Bro, yes, the host of the auction should supply something like a jot form. If you don't know what jot form is, it is there's a link that you can create, and if you just Google the word jot form, you can actually click on jot form and create a jot form. It's simple. It's for them to be able to fill in all of their information, and you just create that jot form. Or you can click on any one of my auctions. At the top, there's a jot form, and on the upper right-hand corner, you can create your own jot form. Once you created that jot form, you want to copy the link, put it in a comment on your in your chat before the auction starts, and then pin that message to the top. So you go on jotform.com, or you Google jotform, you use my link or whoever's in an auction link. You create a form. Once you've created the form, you copy that link, and you just go to the top and copy it like you would copy any other link. And then you come back and do it on YouTube, because you can't pin things to the top of the chat on StreamYard. So go to your YouTube, click on, Jennifer Hayes. Guys, if you're watching the chat later, Jennifer has www.jotform.com. She has the link right there. And you want to pin that, again, go it into your YouTube before the show, put it in your comments, and then pin it to the top of your comments. And make sure that everybody who is bidding has a jot form filled out. Now, it's kind of tough to do while you're doing it. And with the jot forms, you're always gonna have, you know, maybe one or two people who haven't filled one out. You got to kind of chase them down afterwards, after the auction. But I try not to sell to anyone who hasn't filled out a jot form, because I need to know who to bill. Jennifer does have every link known to mankind, and that is why we love her gorgeous face. No, we just love her because she's gorgeous and she has a heart of gold. That's why. So okay, so they've filled out your jot form. So you've got all of their information, their email address, their screen name. You need the YouTube screen name and their real name and address. Once you have that, then you need to calculate the shipping. To calculate the shipping, put all of their auction items in one box or poly bag, depending on, you know, what you're sending, how you're sending it. If it's a breakable, don't put it in a poly bag. For God's sake, don't do that. I wouldn't use priority mail unless you're planning on paying the difference between the shipping and the priority mail, or unless the customer specifically requests it. So you've put it in a box or a bag. The next step would be to get a little postal scale, and you can get one for relatively cheap on Amazon. I think I paid $30 for mine, $25. And it tells you ounces and pounds. So I weigh the package, and then I measure it. If it's a box, I measure the height, the width, and the length. If it is a poly bag, I measure the length and the width. I bring that information back here, and I go to Pirate Ship. Now there's more than one type of shipping, that discounted shipping and shipping services that you can do online. I like Pirate Ship because it does side-by-side comparisons. So I want to get the very best rate that I can for my customer. Sometimes that's first class mail. More often than not, it's United States Postal Service Ground Advantage. or UPS. Sometimes UPS is a lot less expensive too. So just depending on, depending on what the least expensive option is, I will choose that for my customer. I want to make sure that they don't pay so much that it is a burden for them to buy from me. Once you enter in the address and the dimensions and the weight into Pirate Ship, it will give you your shipping estimates, and you choose the least expensive one. Once I've chosen the least expensive one, now I know that shipping to Maine, let's say I'm shipping to Jennifer and she's in Hawaii. She's not, but it's none of your business where she is. If I'm shipping to Jennifer Hayes and she's in Hawaii, and let's say that her shipping is $5. Once I've got that information, now I can go in to the PayPal, create the invoice, and then in the description, I will put, lot 1 and lot 3 from Glammaz Closet Auction and the date, what those lots included, and the cost. In the cost total, I will put the cost, but not the cost of the shipping, because I put the shipping and handling in the other total. And then a quick thank you note too before you send out the invoices. I don't like to send them out without saying thank you for your business. Yes, common sense is a must. Common sense is a must. Honestly, it really, really is. So that's really about it. Just a few housekeeping notes. Whatever you're selling, please make sure that it is clean and fresh. And especially nothing more so than with clothing. People hate getting things that smell like smoke. And that was when I first started reselling, I didn't realize that the smell of cigarette smoke would transfer. And so I would, I'd have things out here in the bar for hours at a time. And then I would take them in the house, and pack them up and send them out to somebody on Poshmark, and I would get, this smelled like smoke. And I'm like, how can you tell? Well, it turns out, I don't really smell the smoke that much because I'm a smoker. So I quit keeping things in the bar. I do have a different exhaust system, both for heating and cooling in the bar than I do in the main house. So that helps tremendously. If you smoke outside, or just smoke away from your things. Just make sure, I'm not cleaning something from the 30s. And if you're not going to clean it, if you're like, you know what, I found this, it's from the 30s, I'm not going to do it. Just let them know when they're bidding on it. Just let them know. Just say, look, it does need some cleanup. You're going to be responsible for that. But because of that, you're getting a great deal. So yeah, those are sort of my tips. And again, never, ever, ever be rude to your potential customers in the chat, whether they are buying or not. Please make sure and remember your manners and lead with kindness. If you lead with kindness, not just in auctions, but in life in general, if you lead with kindness, you will always, always find success, I think. Pirate Ship. Thank you. Jennifer also has in the chat the link for Pirate Ship. So guys, if you're looking for the links for Jotform or for Pirate Ship, check the live chat later, and I'll make sure and turn on the live chat replay. And you can scroll down and you can click on those links and copy and paste those links to a Word doc for yourself. And I wish I lived in Hawaii. Well, right now, I don't know. Some of it burnt up recently, I think. Treat people like you want to be treated in life. That is exactly correct. Really, the first auction is always going to be a little nervous. It's going to be awkward as crap. It's just going to be awkward. You're just going to feel awkward. It's probably not going to look as awkward on the screen as it feels inside, but you're going to feel awkward, and you're going to look back later and go, oh, I should have done this, or this, or I should have said this, or I should have done. You know what? That's how any of the very well-practiced auction people, that's how we all learn. That's how everybody learns. Allow yourself some room for failure. Allow yourself some room for imperfection. I don't even want to say failure, because there's really no failure if you're trying something new. But I wish you very, very good luck on your auctions, on all future auctions. Now, this is where I am going to wrap things up. Everybody remembers their first. It's so true. So this is where I'm going to wrap things up. I need to blow my nose. I was outside with the baby today a lot, and my allergies are like, hey, tickle, tickle. So I am going to wrap this up. But if you have any questions, my Instagram is usually listed. It's usually posted somewhere on my videos. And I will make sure and put that into the chat also. Hey, Teresa. Mwah! Hello, gorgeous. Hello, love. I hope you enjoyed your last purchase. Thank you so much. Teresa's been such a wonderful support right from the get. I just love her. I can't wait to go to Orlando and meet her the next time I'm in Orlando. I really, really, I'm excited. She's just such a precious, precious soul. So thank you so much, everybody, for being here tonight. I really appreciate your company. And again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. You are more than welcome to reach out. Please hit me up on Instagram. Usually that's the easiest way to get me to respond, or shoot me an email. I also respond to emails. So, Big Bro, I did see your email, or your note on Instagram. And I've been meaning to respond. I have been sick for like a month and literally doing the bare necessities. So this is the first week where I've actually felt normal. And so just trying to catch up on everything. But I hope you all have a wonderful night. I hope that everybody gets something out of the video, whether it was just good company. And never forget, no matter what you're selling and what platform you're selling it on, never forget, Glammaz loves you. Y'all have a wonderful night. Bye.